the inauguration is tomorrow. Then today I don't go home. I'll walk.
Oh, they are inaugurating the thing tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so I'll just walk. Today when I'm close from work, I'll just pick my things and start walking.
But I have not finished it.
You know, I wanted to say something about the road. The one that takes you from Kaneshie to Graphic Road, the gradient of the of the overpass. You know, you're from Graphic Road and you're going to industrial area. It's too steep.
Steep, yes.
Of course, the new one is a bit longer. And can you describe that roundabout? I don't know what they are doing. So those coming from, like, say, Kolebu, they are going over or they'll pass under?
I don't know.
Oh, you use them, you don't know?
I don't know.
But you use that every day.
I think Kolebu, you pass over it. Unless, of course.
So Kolebu to Circle, you pass over.
That's right.
Unless you are going into, say, and then those coming from, so that's the first level at the top. Then the middle level is those from First Light to Graphic Road. And then those from Circle going to, say, Abosokai proper
You can make
will
it.
pass under. It's very high.
It is very high.
Very high.
I mean, it's a major project there. I think the intervening properties you have there, and the enclave, the Abosokai space, the Pamplum place, all of those spaces, I think they've constructed how properly to have developed that particular, because it should have been much bigger than that, ideally. But
it's true.
Yeah, it would require a lot of compensation, investment to relocate people.
Because of the way the place is densely
densely
Yeah, but that do we not see a potential problem there? Because this is supposed to, especially if Graphic Road through to the Kaneshie side, to join from Kaneshie Graphic Road, from Ahimfie, if you decide to go through down Abosokai.
Are you seeing traffic bottlenecks?
Yeah, but it's Abosokai. It's Abosokai.
No, but they are taking the traffic away. So those who are going to Kolebu will pass over. Those who are going to...
So there will be no stops?
The trotters will pass down. But the non-trotters will go up.
Yeah, I'm talking about the down.
Yeah, but once you remove about half of the guys who pass at the top, like I'll give an example. Now that you go to a flower pot used to be choked at the bottom. Now the guys going to East Legon and Tema, they pass over. All right. So when you do that, only about half of the cars now pass under. So it reduces the traffic.
Yeah, but
it's the discipline of the trotro drivers that will cause the problem.
You need to remove all of
But
or the shops are too close to the road.
Flower Pot doesn't have Kaneshie Market in the neighborhood and doesn't have Abosokai in the same space and doesn't have Pamplum in the same space.
So why should they remove them?
Because they are the reasons why we have the traffic situations in those areas. They stop anyhow.
The trotro guys.
Yeah, the trotro guys.
But it's their behavior. It's not the removal. It's the behavior of the drivers. It's
No.
not the...
So let me ask you a question. How if you are once it's done, if you are going to Abosokai, where will you park?
Depends on where you're coming from.
That is why Abosokai should not even be there.
No, hold on. If you're coming from Dansoman to Abosokai, I'll give you 3 entries.
Okay.
You can use Zongo.
Which Zongo?
Zongo Junction, former ICGC side.
ICGC. I've seen where
then
you're
when you come,
from.
then you do a roundabout.
That means you are
under the overpass.
do you know how choked
No,
it
that's
will be?
one. Number 2, you can pass from. I'm giving you the.
Just giving you the.
You are coming from First Light. From First Light, there's Kaneshie first, Kaneshie second. After Kaneshie second, there are some banks on your right. The road will bear right into Abosokai from that side, so you can enter Abosokai from there.
But the bank workers also pass there. There are transport yards. There are like 4 or 5 different transport yards. The 4th transport yard is in that enclave. The sprinters are in that enclave.
The Pamplona area, all of those.
Yeah, but what's your problem?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying. Do you not foresee the interchange becoming a regular route soon because of that human activity in that area? Because you have Kaneshie.
See,
but if you are going to Kaneshie, if you get down, Kaneshie, because even on a regular.
So are you suggesting that Kaneshie also needs an overpass?
No, I'm not suggesting Kaneshie. I'm just saying that we need better enforcement of the area.
We need to stop the lawlessness of drivers.
Yes, that's the area.
And relocate.
Relocate who?
Well, I don't. I know that people do a lot of great business at Abosokai.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't believe that they should be maintained there. They have to be relocated.
You think that location is not good?
It's not good.
You know, Henry Cote tried to move them to he wanted to take them to the eastern part of Accra.
Okay.
This was like a year ago. They didn't agree.
Yeah, but
he actually found a space.
They have to agree, because it's a whole mess there. Then you have this Takrady station, that is Takrady Cape Coast Winneba station
In the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's in the middle.
Why should Abosokai move?
Abosokai, it's one of the major reasons why people go to that side of town.
Yeah.
And park
Yeah,
anyhow.
but okay. So this is what I'll say. Are you saying that the way the location of Abosokai is the problem?
Yeah.
No, we are just saying
Because it's
that,
too close to Kaneshi Market.
it's Aboseokai, Kaneshi. What we are describing for you is there are 4 or 5 high traffic areas.
That's right.
Not forgetting that even
In
prior to
that-
that there was the Onion Market and Co behind the
in that
ICGC
enclave.
side.
So if you don't deal with it, so for instance, when you have the persons who are from the Kaswa side, right, who are looking to get on the overhead,
Yeah.
sometimes because that thing is supposed to be smooth on a road like that, you're only supposed to have so many stops, but because of the transport stations on the right side, markets on the right side and left side, you have people looking to cross both up and down. Some use the footbridge, some don't.
To jump over the wall.
And so we just need.
So Sky is asking for a relocation solution. I'm saying that
I'm just saying,
an
look,
enforcement solution.
enforcement,
Let's
yes.
talk to Engineer Owusu
Enforce.
Setre, entry consultant on Obetsebi
Enforce.
flyover. Engineer, thanks
And
for
just
talking to us.
Just before you go, somebody says he tried the TV Africa route you suggested. Says don't try.
It's true.
Yes,
says don't
because
try.
the roads are small.
All right, let's talk to Engineer Owusu Setre, entry. Oh, Engineer, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks. I'm sure you are busy because we are close to commissioning or inaugurating tomorrow. Are you on course for the project to finish and be commissioned tomorrow?
Yeah, we are on course for the commissioning tomorrow.
Wonderful. Can you describe how the road will work when it's done? Basically, from where to where? How are we going to move from Circle to Kolebu, from First Light to wherever? Just describe how it's going to work.
Okay. Now, the project has been in 2 phases. The first phase was the bridge from Graphic Road towards the Kaneshi Market. That was commissioned about 4 years ago in 2020. Right. Now, the second phase is the bridge from Circle towards Kolebu. And then the groundworks. When we say the groundworks, it means the roads and then the drainage structures. Now, the bridge has been completed and other things. The groundworks, we're almost through with it. And we are doing a commissioning tomorrow. Once it's commissioned, it means traveling from Circle to Kolebu, you just drive over the top, like that's the 3rd tier, and then straight on to Kolebu. From Graphic towards Kaswa, Kaneshi Market, you use the lower, the middle tier, and you also travel through. Now, the ground tier, or the ground where you call it, that's where the roundabout is. That's what you use to change direction.
Wonderful.
Right.
So that's for those who are coming from Circle who want to probably go to Aboseokai or go to Kaneshi Market. They will use the roundabout at the bottom.
Excellent. That's correct.
There's what about Mpamprum? You know, when you are from Graphic Road to Kaneshi, that road sometimes has a bit of traffic. Are you sort of expanding that road in any way? Are you blocking the entry point? Because there was some traffic light at Mpamprum before you even get to Kaneshi first and all of those. What are you doing around those areas?
Right. The Mpamprum junction. Now, from Mpamprum, you cannot turn left to Obetsebi Lamptey Circle any longer. From Mpamprum, you can only make a right turn. Now, going towards Mpamprum, you only have to use the roundabout and then turn right to that section. You cannot, there's no left turn. It's only right in, right out.
Wonderful. The project at, I'll talk about traffic, but the project at Flower Pot tried to prevent encroachment by hawkers by putting some barriers and things in there so that the place can be more aesthetically nice. This project is in a very densely populated area, Kaneshi Market, commercial area, right? You have Aboseokai. It's not even far from the market near ICGC. Are you planning to do anything to prevent the type of hawking, selling situation that inevitably affects the work?
That has always been a challenge to us. The runabout itself, we're planning to fence the runabout. Okay, before the construction of the project, Obetsebi Lamptey statue was removed. We will be reinstalling it back to its position. Not exactly where it was, but we are going to put it within the runabout. And then we'll fence the runabout, but we'll make allowance for people who want to visit and read anything on the statue can just have a walk through and go through. The other places, what we're doing is we have walkways. The walkways, we are raising the walkways such that vehicles will not be able to climb onto the walkways. So basically, that's what we're looking at, and that's what we've been doing with the construction of the walkways. Yes.
A lot of listeners have complained about serious traffic this morning from Awudome towards the roundabout Ahimfie side, and they are saying that they have to go as far as First Light to make a U-turn before they can get to Graphic Road. Is there a special issue today? What's happening this morning causing that much traffic?
It's not only today that we've had that problem, the whole of this week, because we are now doing the work within the roundabout. And doing the work, you'll be doing some excavations, earthworks and other things. We are laying asphalt. So that's why we've had to block that section. So they can only come and then turn right towards Mpramprom. Now, those going to Kolebu are advised not to get there at all because there's no way through to Kolebu.
But
So-
if I'm coming from Awudome and I'm going to Circle, couldn't it have been possible to do a temporary U-turn or something so I even avoid getting to Ahimfie side completely as a
Yeah,
temporary measure?
right. It's very unfortunate. There's no U-turn for you. So coming from Awudome, we advise you go behind Awudome Cemetery towards what's the name of this other radio station? Is it Africa?
Yeah, TV Africa.
TV Africa, yes. You have to use the TV Africa route.
That's also choked gidi this morning.
It's very unfortunate, but I'm just hoping after tomorrow's commissioning, the traffic will be flowing nicely. We are currently seriously working. We'll be working day and night.
So, but have you informed road users of this inconvenience?
Yes, we did
pre-inform
some
them?
general announcement some time back that because of the construction, as much as possible, road users should avoid the construction area. We did some announcement some time back. I'm sure Citi also helped us in that announcement. But that was some time back. And, because of the way the thing is, the direction keeps changing. As and when we have to work here, then it keeps moving. So we cannot be doing announcements every day or something like that. So we did some general announcements some time back to inform motorists. That is the station. We apologize for
a few quick questions before you go. I know when it rained in May this year, I went for a program at Ahimfie and it had rained and the place was flooded. Now, I wonder whether after you finish, you can guarantee that the floods in that area will not recur because it seems to be a flood-prone area, at least Ahimfie into the roundabout side. Seems to be very. Are you aware and any thoughts around rain and what it will cost the place?
Right, we are aware of that. The project is being undertaken by Ministry of Roads and Highways. Ministry of Roads and Highways is not in charge of construction of storm drains. That's the work of Works and Housing. But under this particular project, there's been coordination between Ministry of Works and Housing and Ministry of Roads and Highways. So what has happened is we've had to construct huge storm drains under the road and within our project area. Now, Works and Housing is undertaking a project. I don't know whether I've heard of GARIT, Greater Accra Resilience Improvement Development. That is going to continue what we've done. What we did was we had to construct the storm drains that fall within our project area. So they are coming from First Light to come and join us, and then they discharge into the Odo River and other things. So basically, after the construction of the GARIT project, the flooding level will seriously go down. Even with the construction of what we have done so far, with what we've done so far, the flooding situation has improved, and those there can testify to that because we've had some recommendations from them. Yeah.
Finally, one of the things we expect when roads are built is that traffic flows more freely. There's a fear that because of the location of Kaneshie Market, Abose Okai, and the dense commercial activities in that area, traffic may not change much, especially because there's a lot of lawlessness in the way people drive, and the location of the bus stops also don't help. From an engineering perspective, how do you think, beyond this beautiful project, what engineering needs to be done to ensure the free flow of traffic Because if you do this big project and tomorrow morning we are still stuck there in traffic, obviously it's cost 90, right? So is there an engineering solution? Is it moving people? Is it relocating bus stops? Or is it more an enforcement question? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. So let's look at the two scenarios. From Circle towards Kolibu, that one, it will flow. The only obstacle that we might have will be the Oblogo Junction, that is Zongo Junction. Okay. But that doesn't pose so much traffic. So that will flow. Our major problem is the Kanishi Market area. The bus stops created have now been turned into terminals for intercity, not intracity. You get it. We have trotros there, fine. We also have buses there loading to Takoradi, loading to Cape Coast. And they are all parked on the road. The road with the lanes in that section is about 5. They've taken over, in some of the places, they've even taken over 4. So that's, it's a serious problem, an enforcement problem. And then where we have the station, it's a difficult situation anyway.
Can you not engineer behavior? I'll give you an example. When I was in Lagos,
right,
the outer lanes are separated from the inner lanes by strong concrete. So once you get on the outer lane, you can't get on the highway again. It's basically impossible because they know their people. So they've engineered the road such that lawlessness and indiscipline will not work. When they did their BRT routes, they engineered it in a sense that they know that their drivers are some way. So based on the situation we have, I suspect there could be an engineering solution. If they've taken over part of the road, you probably put some barriers, some things that will ensure that they will not come there. Because the way Ghanaian traders and drivers behave generally, and we all admit this, sometimes it doesn't fit into the beauty of the project we've done. And then innocent law-abiding citizens rather suffer. You saw somebody go and pound fufu on the Obetsebi Interchange until there was, so people generally do what they would. So maybe the position should be now, we will engineer, like they did at Flower Pot, we will engineer the behavior so that even if the police don't tell you whatever, based on the engineering, it will be almost impossible for you to misbehave. Maybe that's where you guys should be going with your constructions. I don't know.
You're right. But all these things come with a cost anyway. But it's always possible. Just take the Ashmoto of Anchor. Okay, traveling towards Ofankor, it's barricaded for only vehicles traveling towards Amasam. You get it. So you don't have the restricted ones. You don't have. Despite that, you still have people even jumping over just to cross to the other side. And a few times you find vehicles that are parked in that particular inner lane. But what you're saying is true. It's very unfortunate. I believe sometimes it's the enforcement and our behavior.
My final question, sir, are you on cost and are you on time? Is the project on cost and is it according to the timing you planned from the beginning?
We've actually had some delays. Okay, but luckily for us, the client or the employer gave us extension of time and we are working within the extension of time, yes.
Well done, thank you. So we hope to see by the what time are they inaugurating tomorrow? Morning, afternoon, evening? Do you know?
In the morning, 9 o'clock.
Kai, traffic. Then tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. So tomorrow we should just avoid that route for tomorrow morning. Because of the, okay, thank you. Engineer Usu Entry is the consultant on the Obetsebi Lamptey flyover, giving some useful insights there. They are commissioning it, or they are launching it tomorrow. So please, tomorrow, don't use the pass another place.
He says that the traffic situation is so bad.
We are so sorry.
And that he had to make a turn at Article, now coming through the TV Africa area. But it's not easy on.
I'm walking home today.
You know, because those areas, the roads are really narrow.
Pass Tesano and
then go to Kaukudi.
And go to first line.
Yes.
And then appear.
No, I have to pass through Kaukudi first and then climb up. Yes. It's like Kokompe.
Mm-hmm.
And then climb up.
Yes. So if you are going, don't even try. Now we're talking mobility. We're talking the crazy traffic at Obetsebi. Well, it's just today and tomorrow. Apparently, it's been the whole of last week.
Yeah, I have some messages for you, and
all
then I will discuss these new buses that have come really exciting. Godwin Nkegbe from Adabraka says, Bernard, do you know that the road and gutter from Awudome to Pamprom has not been worked on, yet we are commissioning it? There's a lot of work to be done here. You can send your reporters to the place to ascertain what I'm saying. Even the drain near the Shell filling station is not covered. Pavements for pedestrians are also non-existent. Again, Godwin says it should be noted that Galva, which constructed the Kaswe and Dubai interchange, is different from the company that currently works on the Obetsebi interchange. This contractor is lazy, he says. Hi, Bernard. I hope you can help me. Hi, Bernard. The frustrating part is that there is no signage indicating the diversion ahead. You only see when you're approaching the roundabout which directs you to take a diversion to Kaneshi via Awudome. Liz from Nungwa says, Bernard and team, good morning.
Morning.
Please, there will still be gridlock at Abosiokai. The Awudome street is so narrow, so traffic will be heavy there. The roundabout at Farm Milk will also create a problem. It is very narrow. Then the traffic from Accra will also be very heavy in the evening because of the market and Trotro. I use the road all the time, and this is my view. But that road, we need a lot of police to plan. We need the municipal assembly to start designing
But I know the problem,
enforcement plans.
Which assembly? Because about 4 constituencies met. It's funny, the road separates about 4.
Yeah, so
you have the Ablekuma Central, which is the Abosokai part. You have Okainkwe South, which is the Kaneshi side. You have Klotekoli, the people here, which is the graphic road side. And then across the road, you could even say you have... okay, that's also Klotekoli.
Yeah.
That's across the road near the ICG.
So they should have a conversation amongst themselves.
Well, you can.
Bernard, so there is the man suggesting an ambulance cannot get through to Kolebu Hospital.
He will get through from Circle overhead to Kolebu.
Kolebu straight.
There is no Ododio though.
Ododio is...
Agbogbloshie area there is Ododio though.
No, what's Ododio?
There should be a Agbogbloshie area be Ododio though. I mean, Neeland, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes,
You are right. So
yeah.
you have 4 constituencies, so you are right. The ICGC church side of that enclave is Ododio. Ablekuma Central is the Okainkwe, whatever, the spare parts place. Then Okainkwe South, and then Oklotekoli. So it's a melting pot.
Yeah.
So who is going to manage it? That's the other problem.
We'll see. Let me continue the messages for you this morning. Abeku, please help. Thank you. Kojo says, all the routes, he wants me to say routes by force. I won't say it. All the routes you are suggesting is a no-go. Trust me, when you want to drive to Abosiokai to buy something, you can't. When you try, your car will get dented. So you have to park your car at either the Metro Mass Yard or the gas filling station close to the cemetery and walk to Abosiokai to get whatever you want to buy. Bernard, is bad. Bernard, as a lover of CBS, I'm a little concerned why some of you, especially Godfred, use the pronunciation of riot for root. This is from...
I think you should spell.
Yes. So, Adolf, whose name a lot of people pronounce as Adolf. But it's also correct. To emphasize the point I'm about to make.
Thank you.
What is the problem? It's R-O-U-T-E.
So it's not a problem. His name is Adolf. Okay. In Ghana, everybody says Adolf. But it's not wrong.
It's Adolf or Adolf.
Now, riot is R-I-O-T.
A demonstration.
Root
chaotic situation.
and route doesn't sound the same as riot.
So R-O-U-T, how do you pronounce that?
R-O-U-T. That's route.
So that basically you score them 5-0.
Yes.
Routed them. But
It's a route,
R-O-U-T-E, which is a road.
Yes. So
How do you pronounce
the route is basically heavily British.
And then route.
R-O-U-T-E
Route
pronounced root is British.
is
American.
basically dialected from the American side.
So the Obetsebi Lamptey route.
You
or
can
the
say
Obetsebi Lamptey route.
yeah,
They are both
because we are heavily British. We are very used to every day saying the route, but it's not wrong.
Thank you.
So
We learned something every day.
Adolf, have a good morning.
Maybe he's a purist.
But based,
I understand. It's
based,
fair. It's a fair point to raise.
Based on our discussion today.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the new buses that have come. I saw the story. So that yesterday, 100. 100. So page 22 of the Daily Graphic, and almost all the newspapers have that story today, that the government has commissioned the first batch of 100 electric buses to augment the fleet of the Metro Mass Transit Limited. The buses are expected to reduce the cost of operations of the MMT. I didn't even think that company was in existence.
I'm even surprised.
By 40% and minimize the cost of transportation for the public. The objective for the deployment of the buses is its energy efficiency will also play a role in the transition process in the use of electric vehicles, including the zero emissions agenda of the national electric vehicle policy. And even another good part is the people they trained
So
to
this is for
drive
Metro Mass, not BRT.
Yes, this is being piloted. It's a pilot being done by the MMT, and according to the story, it will subsequently be extended to transport organizations such as the STC and Ayalolo. So, and I think Nathan, if you can find the routes that the buses will
No,
use.
I think he said it was Adenta to Accra and then.
No, but it's
Simon
I think it's a really good. 1 second, Sky, just give me a second. It's an encouraging thing. Something that we need to be.
My only concern is that
I'm coming to the concern.
Okay, I thought you were finished.
No, I'm not finished.
Then go ahead.
It's great to do this. It's something we've all spoken about, right? They need to be more energy efficient, and I'm happy that it's done. Just again, hope that they have put in place training for the people who will maintain these buses. Also hoping that as they are piloting, they still haven't figured out how to get these buses to be more efficient in terms of traffic efficiency.
Yeah.
Because if this bus was still going to get stuck at the Madina Zungo
That's the
traffic
point.
light
That's the point.
at 8 a.m.,
That's the point.
like every other trotro,
That's the point.
then what will be its use? You understand?
So here are the routes.
Or routes.
Accra, Adenta, 11
Say
a.m.
route, right.
So the schedules are also very clear.
Yes.
So there's Accra to Adenta, 6
Yes.
Ghana cedis, and the bus moves 11 a.m. to 12:20, 11:30 to 12:50. Then Adenta Accra, the bus schedule is also here. Then there's also Accra Ashaiman, 8 to 9:15, 8:20 to 9:30, 8:40 to 10, whatever. Then there are 9 to 10:25, 9:30 to 10:40. Then there's also Amasaman Accra. So I think there are 3: Accra Adenta, Adenta Accra, Accra Ashaiman, Ashaiman Accra.
What are the
Accra
times?
Amasaman, Amasaman Accra. So let me give Ashaiman for example. Ashaiman Accra, 10 a.m. to 11:20, 10:15 to 11:30.
No, hold on. So it will take
An hour and a half.
from there to here.
An hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Amasaman. Okay, let me do Ashaiman to Accra.
That's give or take the traffic that's available that day.
So let me do this properly. Accra to Ashaiman, it moves 8 a.m. They arrives at 9:15.
Okay.
Second one moves 8:20, arrives at 9:30.
Is it a guarantee? You see, because if you take a bus,
That's
if-
expectation.
if it cannot be an expectation.
No, okay. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way.
When you
Let's
take the train
let's
from wherever to wherever,
let's
it's an
let's
expectation.
treat this as the time the bus will move.
And the time it will they expect
Because
it to
the
arrive.
time the bus arrives does not determine when the next bus moves. Because it's not the same bus.
That's what I'm also trying to get into.
So what I'm saying. So if you have a car moving, a bus at 8 o'clock, it's expected to arrive at 9:15.
Okay.
The second bus moves at 8:20. So obviously it does not depend on the first bus coming back.
Okay.
Next bus moves at 8:40. So,
So every
8 a.m.
20 minutes
8:20,
intervals.
8:40. There's also a 9 a.m. and 9:30.
Okay.
So in the morning there are 5 movements from Accra to Ashaiman. 8, 8:20, 8:40, 9 a.m., 9:30.
That's
Now
good.
let's do Ashaiman to Accra.
Yes.
Now the Ashaiman to Accra starts at 10 a.m. It doesn't start at 6 a.m.
Okay.
10 a.m. to 11:20, 10:15 to 11:30, 10:35 to 12 o'clock, 12:55 to 4:10, and all of that. So there's the Amasaman to Accra, 9:45 movement, arrives at 11. 10:45 arrives at 12. 1:15 arrives at 2:45. 3:15 arrives at 4:30. There's also 2 p.m. arriving at 3:20. 10:15 arriving at 11:30. 11 arriving at 12:20. That's Amasaman route. Then there's Oyibi. Oyibi to Accra has 2 schedules, 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
Yes, so
Okay.
it take 2 hours.
Okay.
And then there's also 6:50 to 8:05. Now this is the issue. Fred, you need to call somebody for me. Number 1, we don't know if they stop or they go direct. That's number 1. Number 2,
Is there a specific?
we don't know where to procure tickets. I'm sure Hansen will tell us this.
Well, according to the reports, you're supposed to buy a card, and you will load.
So that's
money.
number 2.
So that when you take the bus, like you do outside, you just tap it.
Number
it
3,
deducts, and then you go.
we don't know whether they are going to be a BRT integrated bus where there's a sort of some concession given to it to go without going through traffic.
Traffic, yes.
We are not sure of this. These are just buses which are electronically powered, and it's a feel-good thing to do. It addresses the mobility challenge in
And
a
the
way,
energy
but
challenge.
but does not solve it entirely. But it's a good start.
But the
So,
fares you're mentioning, are they sustainable?
The
okay,
6
okay,
cities.
let's go through the questions. Question number 1: is this going to be one drive, or they will stop en route to do Trustro?
Which stops?
Number 2: how do you procure tickets? Number 3: would you do BRT type or to go through normal traffic and normal red light? Number 4: would the 6 cities that they are charging, and then so there's 6 cities for the Accra Adenta Accra, Ashaman 8 cities, Amasaman 7 cities, Oyebi 8 cities, and then yeah. So would they keep it that way? That's another question to ask. We'll find somebody to talk to. Let me bring
And
you-
also, just before you bring that, we, as users of these buses, I also think it's good to. It's also fair to say we must take good care of these buses when we get on them.
Do they have
And also,
Wi-Fi on board?
no, not that I am aware, but we must also try and be honest.
Would that be parking?
You know,
right?
because I've
There are lots
used-
of questions. Let's hear the report. Let's hear the report from Hansen.
Okay.
No, but he raises an important point before the
What point
report.
is that?
You see, I would really love to sit on a bus that is neat from Amasaman to Accra.
Accra,
to work. I mean, that is what you would expect. You know, you go elsewhere, you ride on a bus. But sometimes, while I respect the hustle of, you know, people like my mother who took care of me, you know, carrying fish and those things to the market and all of that, I think we should restrict access to these
Hey.
buses. No, I make it very important. Bernard.
This is Sky, no.
No,
So
hold on.
no.
we fish sellers we didn't sit in the bus.
Bernard,
Bernard,
see,
you know, Sky, no.
I think that, look, I honestly think, Bernard, wait,
No.
let me make
As
the
a
point.
son of a fish seller.
That is why I actually introduced that first.
You don't even know.
Because I don't think that.
So Ashayama, what I
don't let you finish.
Come over there.
Bernard,
What I say?
it is possible to make
So
some
I
other arrangements.
can't carry my Odoi in the bus. You want me to go and sit in
You
Trotro?
you don't go elsewhere and you see more money.
Because
Ah,
those places don't sell money.
What's
But
the
in
problem?
those buses, there's somebody coming from the butchery holding
So no wait.
No,
Are you
you don't
saying
chicken
that?
legs and things.
There should be. It's also part of the health issues we face.
Oh, Sky,
Okay, no.
Proper and
Trotro is not the
transportation-
means
Oh.
for conveying fish
Exactly,
of that scale.
that's a
But
part
if
of
I
making.
go to market with my basket
Uh-huh.
and I buy fish, I can sit in the car.
Yes, then it should be properly packaged so that it will not become offensive to other users of the space. That's the
Sky.
point I'm making. Because you see people with Jomi in the car,
And
and
it's
it's
the point.
all over the place. People going to work. Maybe that's the only shirt you are taking
But
to work.
this,
that day.
remember that these are not cars that will have mates because it's tap and go.
Yes, but
So it's only the driver. You understand? So if I have gone to who is checking whether I am, do people really even have time? Because as soon as the bus stops, people are in a hurry to get on.
Charlie, I go to what I'm saying. I'm talking from experience. You use these buses.
As somebody who has lived in Ashaiman and the Akuman official town.
Yeah, so I'm saying that. Look, yes, I
think it's unfair.
respect the hustle. I identify with
Maybe
them.
what you're
I'm
proposing
part
should
of
be
them.
that there should be rules around how to maintain the bus and also cargo of a certain size, if it's not stored, should not be brought onto the passenger side. So you can say that if you are from the market and you buy something, put it in a box and we'll put it in the cargo section of the bus.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you have a point. Just that maybe the way we're expressing it, you have a point that you see, if we just don't manage the buses well, we are just going to have the same problem. Almost all the MMT buses are spoiled.
But that's a different issue.
Wait,
That's just
do me a
that's
tease
just their
about
lack
it.
of maintenance And
But it's a lack of maintenance that he's talking about, that if you don't have strict standards as to what can get on the bus and how to put cargo where, eventually you spoil the bus.
Let me give you a typical example. So recently, I was when I was at Oxford, I was going to London. Then a colleague of mine from Nigeria said that, oh, Charlie, he was hungry. He needed to get something. So he dashed into a nearby shop to buy some Chinese, briskly made. Mm-hmm. The bus was to leave at 10:05, right? And then so I had to pursue him to go and get him immediately so that we could get on the bus. So we were coming with the food, like...
Profeto.
We're coming with the Chinese food.
You've taken Uganda, Nigeria to Oxford to disgrace us.
First of all, there was a security officer who said, come on, sir, please stop there. Hey. Because the bus was moving, right?
You were trying to do trot.
So we were just going to run straight and ask the driver, Charlie, open the
door, let's go.
First of all, the security officer stopped there. He said, beyond this line, you are not supposed to get into that space. There's a yellow marking. You can't cross that into that space. Oh, better. I'm explaining an experience. What's your problem?
Go ahead.
So they pushed us back. Then secondly, they said that no.
This fish cannot.
First of all, this your Chinese thing you have gone to. No food on the bus. No food. No food.
So food is leaving the home.
Put it in the bin.
Yes.
Like my guy was so hungry, right?
This is why we are not developing.
So you are saying that I cannot buy my watch in the rubber?
No way. No, it's a no way.
You see,
and we had to put
Sky. This is a very important point you are making because see, when I was in Presec, no food is leaving the hall. People want to disobey. These are the problems we bring to society. Then we grow up and become Oxford trained lawyers, and we are carrying food to enter a bus because when the DSP said no food is leaving the hall, you didn't obey. On that. This is the problem. So did you sit and feed the food at the bus?
Sorry, we put the food in the bin. I'm talking about just
eat.
Yeah, no, we couldn't eat because first of all, I had put a bag of mine on the bus, and
so you have to sit on the bus.
Yes, so
and they can't remove the bag.
They can't remove the bag. The bag and delaying it will mean that somebody will lose his contract. Something.
So the Chinese, no.
Charlie, we had to bin it, and the bus had to come back, park properly for us to get on board. Charlie. So
and
what I'm
saying, the worst part is the Nigerian guy went Mama Talit.
But Bernard,
Charlie, you did London, but the Nigerian guy they wear Charlie lace. They wear Charlie. Oh, I am sorry. The data. They wear lace with his wife. Charlie just like.
Now you are just misbehaving. You are just misbehaving.
That is who we are. We want to dress as Africans.
Stop there. Oh,
but before you play your report, there is also one other question that comes up from Kafui, and I think our own Susu Graham has also sent the same. He says it's a good initiative. The times these buses move don't favor most of us because we are expected to get to work before 8 a.m. considering the traffic on our roads. They are kind of being smart, avoiding the early morning and evening peak hours.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's a pilot.
Yeah.
So I guess they want to see.
Can we
just
get
how
somebody
it works.
from the bus management committee?
MMT, this is MMT, so let's talk
to speak to us.
People have suffered.
Let's listen to this.
Let's listen to the report first. You know,
this guy.
People have suffered Hausa Coco bends on buses.
It's okay. It's okay.
What Hausa Coco?
But I have to stop Sky.
The pilot phase will see these 10 buses run on two major lanes, the Ashaiman-Accra Road and the Adenta-Accra Road. The main motive is to reduce the cost of transportation by 50%. This is the first phase where 10 buses have been delivered. Ultimately, 100 buses will be deployed across the country.
The buses are scheduled to operate at designated time periods from morning to evening, with some buses making 2 trips in the morning and 2 in the evening. The first bus from Adenta to Accra is expected to depart between 11 a.m. and 12:20 p.m. To reduce the cost of public transport, the fare for the Adenta to Accra trip, currently pegged at 12 Ghana cedis, has been reduced to 6 Ghana cedis. Speaking at the commissioning of the buses, the Minister of Transport emphasized that measures have been implemented to ensure the effective management and maintenance of the vehicles.
We are introducing a policy, we are introducing a project that will revamp or that will change or reform the public transport system. So we are using the Metro Mass as a third base. It's not that we are only concentrating on the Metro Mass. So this first phase that we are launching, we want the Metro Mass to operate it for her to see the issues that we are going to have in terms of problems and other things, so that we can deal with it when we are going to do the whole arrangement.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stated that this initiative marks the first step towards comprehensive reforms in the country's public transport system.
The acquisition of these electric buses is not just about revamping the operations of Metro Mass Transit Limited and is signaling to other agencies to follow suit, but also to position them to play a leading role in the drive to net zero emission transport future and a future with low cost of transportation.
These 10 buses are part of the first phase of 100 electric buses that are expected to be deployed across the country as part of the government's efforts at transforming the public transport space. The main motive is to reduce the cost of transport by 50%.
A lot of questions have arisen on this. Obviously, there's also a political question, right? So there's a political question. Is this linked to an existing public transport plan, or is this just to make the vice president look good for election winning purposes? Indeed, that will be my first question for my guest before we even get into the mechanics of this. Hassan Tampoli is MP for Gushehu and also Deputy Minister for Transportation. Thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Very good morning to you, my brother.
Wonderful. We are very happy that you've launched the bus project. But is this part of a coordinated mobility plan or just an election winning gimmick to make the vice president look good?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you very much. So this is part of a broader.
Hello, Azan. Let's call you back. The line we got a bad line. We'll call you back. Forgive us. We'll call you back. So this is a conversation with the Deputy Minister for Transportation. Government takes delivery of 100 electric buses, which is the first batch to augment the fleet of Metro Mass Transit. The buses are expected to reduce the cost of operating of MMT by 40% and minimize the cost of transportation for the public. So please get him on a different line if possible, or on a landline. The objective for the deployment was its energy efficiency. It will play a lead role in the transition process in the use of electric vehicles, including the zero emissions agenda of the National Electric Vehicle Policy. It's being piloted by the MMT Limited and will be subsequently extended to transport organizations such as STC and Ayalolo. The Vice President Dr. Bawumia, who unveiled the buses at a ceremony in Accra, said the transport sector was a major contributing factor to the growth of the economy. Dr. Bawumia, who is also the NPP president, said the shift towards electric vehicles was therefore to improve the transport sector. So Hassan Tampoli is back. So thanks for joining us. So as you heard, my first question, part of an integrated mobility plan or election winning gimmick?
Okay, thank you. So this is part of a framework, e-mobility framework that the government has put in place. And if you have looked at the manifesto of the NPP for the 2024 election, it finds a lot of space in there. And the whole idea is for us to have a very elaborate BRT system anchored on the electric vehicles, especially the public buses, public transportation system. So we have a framework that will identify, especially let me give you an example of Greater Accra. We have an 18-kilometer stretch between Adenta and Accra, another 18-kilometer between Amasama and Accra, about 40 or so kilometers from Kasua to Accra, 44 kilometers Dawenya to Accra. And so this cannot be an election gimmick. It's a whole ecosystem that we are developing, and then this is just more or less a pilot
I see.
The whole experiment.
Why MMT and not the BRT? Because the routes you chose are actually the BRT routes. Ashaiman, Oyibi, Adenta are actually the Ayalulu BRT routes. Yet these buses are to be managed by the MMT, who are not necessarily prominent on these routes. I stand to be corrected.
Yes, indeed. So it's part of, we've done some kind of assessment of all the agencies, and the lot fell on Metro Mass for very obvious reasons of their, capacity to do intra-city transport as well. They started off as an intra-city commercial public transport system, and then later on did an addition to do the intercity. So by and large, the BRT system is a process. So yesterday's launch was to test the efficacy of the system that we have rolled out. All right. But ultimately, when we will roll out the BRT system, what we are going to do is to do some amount of remodification and redesign of the various arterial roads to have dedicated BRT lanes in the median. All right. So we're likely to collapse one or two lanes, one lane from each side, and then we'll have the BRT in the median. Okay, and then we're going to have the terminals dotted along the various roads, and they are going to be dedicated for just the buses and not any other, private car or other public transport system. And they are going to be doing this at various times. So the buses are supposed to be at a point at 7 a.m. The bus will be there at 7 a.m. Even if it has to take a goat, it will take the goat and move to the next stop. So basically, these are the arrangements that we have. Ultimately, we plan to do about 1,000 buses in different parts of the country. All the regional capitals are going to have their share.
But Honorable Deputy Minister, you've had 7 years to implement a BRT system, which essentially has collapsed. Ayalolo is on its knees. The dedicated lanes don't work. They don't have enough buses. So if you are telling me you will be doing, I was expecting you to tell you that, Charlie, we've done this, and these are the routes that have been tested. It's easy to get a bus, but to run a transport system and to run a BRT is much more complex. And I put it to you that in the past 7 years, the BRT concept has not been implemented by this government.
Yes, I think that you are right when you say that to some extent, but there are some number of bottlenecks. I'll give you a good example. The GAPTI, Greater Accra Public Transport, headed by the one that is currently running the BRT system, is not an agency under the Ministry of Transport. It's actually under the Ministry of Local Government. And the board membership of the GAPTI is made up of the Metropolitan Assemblies and not even the Ministry of Transport. So the architecture that we inherited, we had a challenge on how to implement it, so it becomes a challenge. So the plan is to put everything under the auspices of the Ministry of Transport. And in collaboration with the Ministry of Roads and Highways, we'll be able to do this. But every now and again, every meeting that is called, so there's some amount of, redefining of rules. So when the rules are a bit blurred, and that becomes a challenge. So some amount of turf war here and there. But the plan is to have everything under the BRT system put under the Ministry of Transport.
But the mayor of Accra was a board member of the BRT. He's appointed by the government. The local government ministry is part of government. Essentially, these are all government appointees, just a coordination issue. My point is that mobility is a very critical part of urban development. So whether there's a turf war or not, Accra has become so big. Now we are the largest region in the country, yet you have the smallest size. So if in 7 years you've not implemented a simple BRT system, why should I believe you when you tell me that now you are going to integrate this into Ayalolo, what? It's been... citizens always complain about mobility because the basic BRT, the routes were designed, but we've not allowed it to work. So whether it's the local government ministry or the mayor or whatever, these are, if there's an overriding plan to ensure that there's mobility in the city, some way, a way should have been found to have done this. So I'm not sure if the reason you are giving is valid, that TEV was and things.
Well, like I said, the point that you have made is a valid point. But there are bottlenecks, all right? And it's something that has been studied, done assessments, and we are taking remedial steps to actualize that vision. Don't forget that some amount of funding came from the World Bank and specifically meant for a certain ministry. It's difficult for you, in the middle of the game to say that the World Bank, we are moving the funds from this ministry to the other ministry. And I'm sure you understand how these things work. It's not easy for you to just say that, okay, this money have come in, but we are going to take it to the Ministry of Transport instead of Ministry of Local Government. So let's understand that there are structures. And we are not dealing just with the government of the Republic of Ghana. We are also dealing with donor partners. And they need to be convinced. And so now we have the blueprint. And like I said, if you look at the manifesto commitment, you would have seen that there's serious efforts, and it has been reduced into greater detail in the manifesto about what we intend to do as far as the BRT system is concerned. Now, currently, what we plan to do is to implement the contract flow program. So in the mornings, rush hour, from about 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., the e-buses will be doing what we call the contract flow. So for instance, the traffic flow from Medina to Accra makes that lane necessarily choked. Then you look on the other side of the road from Accra or maybe 37 towards Medina is virtually empty. So what we plan to do, as a first step, is to take one lane on the opposite direction, and then the buses will be flowing along those routes to their various destinations. So there are different ways of doing this, all right? And this contract flow is going to be one of the ways.
So the contract flow BRT is all vehicle based. Do you have any other modes? For example, tram, light rail. A lot of cities, Lagos, Kaduna, Abuja, Dakar, they're all doing it now. We've done Tematu as Mpakadam, but that's not urban rail. That's a different situation. Does the government have any plans of any other type of transportation except road vehicles?
Yes, we do. Definitely we do. And that's in the railway sector. The railway sector, so Accra Tema obviously is one that is, operational and sometimes a bit of breakdowns here and there. And then Accra and Sawam as well. So what we intend to do is to do a complete retooling of that whole architecture. The rail lines need to be revamped, for instance, between especially in Sawam and Accra. And you find some amount of encroachments here and there. So all of these are part of the plans that we have to be able to do. But ultimately, we are trying to see if it is feasible for us to be able to do from Kaswa all the way to Accra. Now that means a lot of logistical challenge and a bit of inconvenience for the populace along that route. And also some amount of demolition have to take place here and there, compensations have to be paid. So we've looked at all of these, we've considered all of these things, but the current routes would have to be revamped with new coaches, make them more comfortable and convenient for passengers to be able to ride. In the course of doing all of these exercises, we have read literature about, for instance, how people used to ride on the train from Kumasi. They used to work in Accra, some work in Kumasi from Accra, and they'll put their vehicles on the trains in the morning, in the 70s. And, they put their vehicles on the train, in a sleep on the train and get to their destinations. And the following day, they take their cars and then they go to their work. And on Friday, when they close from work, they put their cars back on the train and then drive the opposite direction, Accra or Kumasi. So all of these are part of the plans that we have as far as, rejigging or revolutionizing the transport sector is concerned, both intra-city and then intercity as well.
So now you're charging 6 cities, 7 cities, 8 cities. Will this be sustained? I think the couple of problems with MMT, the fares were perceived to be low. That's number one. Number two, there weren't enough engineers for maintenance, so a lot of vehicles broke down. So MMT is a difficult company. Different administrations have struggled with it because some of it is the pricing, and then the other one is the technical engineers of know-how to repair the buses and all of that. Now you have these nice electric buses, all right? Were we told that, for example, there are some engineers who've been brought in who can maintain these buses, all right, so that we don't have an abandoned 100 buses after 3 months? Because that's the story of MMT. The orange buses are mostly broken down.
This arrangement is going to be completed. Don't forget that MMT is supposed to be running a social service. So, for instance, school children don't pay when they ride on the buses. The old people, aged citizens also don't pay. But don't forget that when they go to buy fuel, the fuel doesn't have any subsidy. They buy it at the same commercial rate as any of the commercial transport owners. So the structure itself already makes MMT a losing company. All right, they're not supposed to be making profits. So wherever they even break even, we are happy. But from the entire arrangement that has been put in place for Metro Mass, so maintenance is a problem. Yes, like you are right, and so on and so forth. But with the electric buses, you are not buying any fuel. That is one. You are not changing oil. You are not doing anything about transmission and so on and so forth. All you have to do is to charge the bus. And the capacity of these buses is about 350 kilometers, for instance. So you can run almost several days without even charging, if you like. But with the architecture that we have, every day that the bus goes to work, when they come back to the depot, they have to wash, they have to recharge, and they have to check one or two things just to be able to find out whether everything is okay. So we have the engineers on ground, and they'll be here for as long as it takes to train a good core of engineers who will be stationed with the Metro Mass transit system. We want to be able to do some transfer of knowledge within the shortest possible time, so that by the time that we are able to bring in over 1,000 buses, we should be able to have enough engineers and technicians on the ground. And we're going to have some arrangements, especially with the private sector. It's not going to be only Metro Mass. GPRTU, GRTCC are all part of the broad framework for us to see to the rolling out of this e-mobility framework across the country.
There are some very good things about this, which I want to touch on. Number one, the fact that it's electronic. Number two, the payment system, we're also told, is almost cashless.
That's correct.
And then number three, we're told that these are, some of the people driving the vehicles are sort of people who were picked up as KIAs and trained. So, first point, is it ready to go? Is it running already, or is it going to start running at a different date? Have we been told where to go and get the cards and all of that? Are those things very clear for the public? Because I sitting here don't really know.
Yeah. So the what's the name of the card? I just mentioned the card. So it's been launched by the Vice President already last month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you can purchase it at different points. I would get the details for you in due course. But when you get the card, it's like a pass that can be used for taxi, ride hailing. You can use the same card for GPRTU, vehicles. You can use the same, pass to do this current electric bus system that we have. So the payment platform is integrated. So one card you'll be able, just like you do in London, you use one card to ride a bus, use the same card to ride the tram, and so on and so forth. And so that is the same architecture that we have here in the country.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like I said, you can get the card from different points. I will have to get the details.
Maybe there has to be some public education on how that works, especially if you say you are going to use it for other.
So we have had meetings. We have had several engagements or with the various stakeholders, especially with the private transport owners. And everybody is, aligned as far as this arrangement is concerned. And you made mention of the fact that we've trained some specially selected KIAs. So yesterday, for instance, they were given their tools and certificates to commence driving. And then yesterday, one of them actually drove us from Adenta all the way to Kimbo. One of the ladies that was that we trained for the purposes of driving these electric buses. So it tells you the whole concept is an integrated piece that is supposed to move people, give them convenience in terms of the bus riding, and to also provide jobs for not only the youth, but also for the poor and vulnerable. And the case in point is the 22 Kayai that received their certificates yesterday. And they were very excited. These were people who used to carry items with headpans. Now they carry people with buses. It's a major transformation as far as their lives is concerned. And it's a testament to some of the plans that we have as far as moving people from, the current situation that they find themselves in, which is unfortunate, to, areas that will make their life even more better. But it means also that we have just about 10 that we did yesterday. Ultimately, we'll get about 100, and then we'll move on to 1,000. All of these people are going to have, some area that we're going to put them as far as the whole arrangement is concerned. And don't forget, if you have 1,000 buses in the system, that should have been consuming diesel. And then they now, use electricity. What it means is that our import bills that would have sustained these 1,000 buses for fuel would be channeled into electricity. So what it means is that the pressure, for instance, on the dollar is not going to be as it used to be. And it has its own ripple effects on the economy.
I mean,
all we need,
we know the benefits of e-vehicles, but if you look at the
charging infrastructure across the country,
fair enough. If you look at the volume of vehicles in Accra, obviously we have a lot of way to go, a long way to go to get the number of e-vehicles to even begin to reduce the pressure on our fossil fuels like the way we are imagining. Because look, they are probably over 99.9% of our vehicles are still fossil fuel driven. So while this is a great initiative, and in fact we don't even know if all the 100 buses are in. We are told just the first batch. So it's probably, we don't even have all the 100 in as we speak, right?
No, we have received the first batch of 100.
But are they so the first batch of 10?
That's correct. They came in. That's what we inaugurated yesterday. The rest are on high seas, coming in.
So this 10, will they be running this week, or do you want all the 100 to come before we start?
We are going to start running with the 10 this week.
And so all the routes, because there's Amasaman, Ashaiman, Adenta, and Oyibi, will all the routes benefit from the 10, or we'll start with Adenta?
Yeah, we piloted. We piloted with Adenta, but we're going to run on all the routes this week.
Hey, that means because there are 10 buses and the routes are about 4, so it means like 2 buses per route.
Exactly. This is like a piloting, like I said, and so we'll see how it works, so that by the time that we receive the full complement of the buses, we'll be able to identify where there's a lot of pressure, and where we need to throw more buses, we'll do that. So this pilot would give us an indication of the direction that we need to go as far as the allocation of buses are concerned.
Finally, there was a question about keeping the buses clean, maintenance, and the view that this should be passengers only, and people should not bring goods and stuff into the buses, because that is what leads to the destruction of the upholstery of these buses and things. Do we know if this is going to operate on basically passenger only, we don't know yet, because you are doing Ashaiman, you're doing Adenta, Oyibi, and Amasaman. There are a lot of market people with goods who would want to join these buses, right? Have you figured out how you're going to manage this in a way that does not lead to the deterioration? I don't know if you get the question.
I get the question. It's going to be passenger only. It's not going to be a bus that will be carrying goods. You can accommodate the goods that will be contained in the booth, but not on the buses. So that one has been made clear to Metro Mass, and then they have their marching orders in order to ensure that the buses will be clean at any point in time. And we have cameras inside the buses. So the driver will not even permit anybody that will come on the bus with any good that cannot be accommodated. So and the public has to support us to be able to do this, especially when we find that some people are lowering standards and allowing passengers to carry goods onto the buses. I think that is a collective responsibility. All of us should be alert. So whatever it is that we find, we should be. When you see something, say something, and then we'll be able to collectively hold everybody to account and preserve the beauty of the buses and the convenience that it brings to various passengers.
Right. Thank you for talking to us, Hassan Tampuli, the Deputy Minister for Roads and MP for Gushehu. I hope your campaign is going well.
Yeah. I think you just done some amount of reshuffling in your studio. Deputy Minister for Transport, you gave me road.
Oh, I said road, eh? Sorry. You know, in the past, Idris Saleh was Minister for Road and Transport, so it has stayed in my head.
For a long time.
Forgive me. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for talking to us. I hope your campaign is going well.
As far as my campaign is concerned, everything is going well. We are winning with a landslide, and it's going to be a one-touch victory for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. As far as the presidential is concerned, and by 10 a.m. on the 8th of December, you would have heard that MPP has won, significant majority in Parliament.
Okay, we have 9 days to find out. Thank you for talking to us.
Easily. Let's go. Thank you.
That was Hassan Tampuli, the Deputy Minister for Transport, not roads, as I inadvertently said. So 10 buses are in.
Yes.
They are expecting the rest in due course.
Mm-hmm. The 22 female drivers.
Yes, the four routes will all start. So
this week.
Adenta, Oyibi, Amasaman, Ashaiman. Those are the 4 routes. MMT will initially be in charge of this. The more buses come, they will devolve to Ayalolo and STC as well. And they will not allow Kpala on the bus.
I would say, from East Legon says, please, this is a great initiative, but I humbly advise they stick to the number of people required on board. Unlike the Ayalolo, where they pack people to the extent you can't even breathe. Thank you. Bernard and team, let's not play the ostrich. Sky is very right. If left without rules, these buses will be worse than our trotro. Kwesi Akwa from Sakumono. From Sun Citi is asking, a lot of people move from Ashaiman to Accra between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Why are these buses moving from 10 a.m. at Ashaiman? Well, it's a pilot, so we'll see. Kwesi Japan is also asking, what does the law say about contra flow in Ghana, if there is any? If not, can that be legislated and communicated to the public so that these buses will use that to avoid traffic, as we are not ready to have a dedicated lane? Bernard, our problem as a country is the national agenda. What happens to Ayalolo and Metro Mass and Co? Do these buses have a lane, or they are going to use the Ayalolo lane and join our heavy traffic? This is the question that he's asking. Good morning. Kweku from Dodowa says, I completely support Richard Sky. The e-bus should not be used for goods or extra businesses. It should just be reserved as a commute. The principle around the world is that these buses, BRT and other mass transit buses, are reserved for passengers only. Also because these are scheduled services and delays impact time. Passengers with goods will have to use other forms of transportation.
More messages are coming on 0549986996.
Yeah, so it's something that people are very interested in. Will there be engineers on board? The e-bus is considering that electronic systems can malfunction at any time. Judy is asking. And engineers are not normally on board these buses, wherever I've used them. When I lived in China, pretty common. Basically, that's the only type of transport you would have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, the bus opens, and what happens is on your school ID card actually has the capacity to serve as a payment system.
Oh.
So you would go to the school, you pay a certain amount of money, they put it in the system, kind of like at the bank for you. And it's uploaded. So once you take the bus, there's a barrier in front. You tap the payment system, and then the security barrier opens, and then you go. So it doesn't need a conductor or what we call a mate. It's just the driver. And if your card doesn't read, the gate doesn't open for you to pass. So it's not like you queue. So I'm hoping this bus works the same, and I'm sure it works on the same model to ensure that it's timely. It should be fun. This one also wanted to know about the maintenance mechanism. I think Hassan Tampuli tried to answer some of those questions. The long-term goal should be trying to get trotro buses off the street and replace 100% with electric buses. It is only when that is done that real benefits will be seen. Lena from Adenta. Edmond wants to know the cost for the project. I'm sure Parliament and us will also try and find out just how much it's costing. But I'm just saying that if it's starting this week, it might be good for them to explain to us the payment system. That is key.
Yeah.
Where to get that card from.
Yeah, but you see, I think
because you can't use Momo.
Yeah, I think they should calibrate it in a way as to allow for the use of the Visa cards, Momo, so that it's interoperable in a way. Because really, I mean, this idea of getting that particular card, it's I think it will be self-defeating. We should pluralize. Yes, that's the word.
Pluralize.
Yes, you take it easy.
See, they are suffering.
Or should increase.
Yeah, we should diversify. I think that's a more friendly way of putting it. Diversify the modes of payment, because if you confine it to just a particular card, then it becomes a limiting factor. Of course, they should eliminate cash completely, because these days you can't trust the conductors and the mates all the time. So let's eliminate the cash element entirely, but we should make it possible for you to tap your Visa card, your what the other one, Visa, and what we have some other
payment system.
Other payment system. It should be possible. Once there is money to be taken, it should allow the
planning on getting on the OUB to Accra one.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Let's speak to the MD of GAPTI.
Oh, okay.
Charles Annan. He's joining us on the line. I know we are talking about mobility and all of that. So we know that the new buses are effectively MMT. Right, and then the other ones that are in existence are Ayalolo. Ayalolo is under GAPTI. So let's speak to Charles and just to get an update and a feel of, Ayalolo, where it is now, and potentially if there are any updates or any new things that will be happening.
Generally, his thoughts on
his thoughts on this. Yes. Good morning, Charles and thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Citi Breakfast Show.
Hey, good morning, my brothers.
Thank you for joining us. I mean, initial comments on the new buses in the system, 100 buses that will be put on the road I think the first 10 will be a pilot, but effectively 100 electric buses in a bid to help improve urban transportation. Your initial thoughts on that, and now we can focus on Lolo and what you're doing at GAPTI.
Okay, good morning to your listeners. So, GAPTI, we are actually a regulatory institution set up by the Ministry of Local Government to work with the local administrations, that the MMDAs, to plan, regulate, and enforce public transport-related activities. So our core mandate is to ensure that there are smooth operations of public transport services within the major cities in the country. So yesterday, if you saw GAPTI's involvement in the deployment of the EV buses, it meant that GAPTI has developed systems that will require the EV buses to operate effectively than any other services you've seen in town. And gradually we are testing these systems and also apply it on all other mode of public transport within Accra and beyond. So that's GAPTI's involvement in this whole arrangement.
I see. Thank you for that clarity. So looking at, you mentioned that you were implementing systems and all. What have you noticed so far in terms of mobility in this city? Because there's the EV, which is new. Metrobus existed, largely to a point. And there were challenges. We currently have Ayalolo on the street. what have you noticed in terms of the gaps, and how do you intend to ensure that mobility or transportation in this country as a whole is better from this point onwards?
So after the collapse of the omnibus services somewhere in the 70s, there was a huge gap left in public transport arrangements within major cities. So the private people just stepped in to fill the gap. So in the past, there was no regulatory regime in place to ensure that people conform to specific rules and regulations concerning the deployment of transport services. So somewhere in 2007, the ex-President President Kufuor was so determined to reorganize space. So he started a project called the Ghana Urban Transport Project, which sought to build an institutional arrangement that will modernize public transport services in major cities. So through the GUTP project, we had the Ayalolo service coming in as an alternative to deploy a BRT services that will augment the smaller vehicles that people can into the city center. So for the Ayalolo arrangement, what was supposed to have been done was that we would have planned the services within the communities so that the smaller vehicles, the one people from all their environments and put them at one location. Then the Ayalolo buses take them from that location in mass arrangement and then bring them to the city center. And then the reverse in the evening would have been the same. So through that arrangement, we spoke with the informal services like the GPRTUs and because they were unions, we created a formal entities called GPRTU BRT Company Limited, Amalgamated BRT Company Limited, operate that sure smaller trotros of the competing or major routes and allow the Ayalolo to run. In that arrangement, there were a little hiccup that couldn't make the arrangement successful. So, our vice president hearing this thing that's been done in the past, he called us to a meeting and said that, okay, he's going to import EV buses into the country. And he wants the EV buses to replicate the feeder and the trunk services. So how could we do this? And then that is how come you saw the partnership between GAPTI and Metromas in this regard. So for the deployment of the EV buses, one, the payment system tap and go is an arrangement that has been put together between the Vice President's office and the Ministry of Local Government, together with the Ministry of Transport, to make sure that all public transport services will have just one system. So within the shortest possible time, you will realize that people will pay for transport using the tap and go system. That is one intervention. The second intervention is that because GAPTI works with the MMDAs to grant the that is required to deploy transport services, we will put all the route into concession and then let the people operate those concessions without conflict so that everybody knows the route they are operating. There are no conflicts on that route, and then they play to specific rules. That is the beginning of what yesterday you saw us and the Vice President articulating. And if you remember his speech, he made a very fine point. He said that he's going to work with GAPTI for a fleet renewal program, which means that he's going to import another side of the EV buses for us to work with the likes of the GPRTUs and the rest, so that we take your old vehicle, value it, give you a new EV bus, give you a route to operate on those routes. Yesterday, it was in a speech. So that is to make sure that we shape the entire arrangement to give seamless and comfortable travel to our general public.
You just mentioned seamless, meaning that you want the transportation to be smooth. One of the biggest challenges we have in this country, or at least in the major cities, is traffic. In the morning, we all gravitate to the center. In the evening, we all leave the center. What is GAPTI's plan, or what does GAPTI intend to do to ensure that if people want to hop on an EV bus or an Ayalolo bus or a Metro bus, they will not be caught in the traffic all other people get caught in? Because we want to move about easily. Movement generates the economy, and when the economy is good, we are all better, for that. So what's the plan to ensure that when I hop on a bus, I will not get caught up in the traffic that exists in Accra or any of the major cities in Ghana?
GAPTI, together with the MTTD, the Department of Urban Roads, and Ministry of Transport, we have come up with a concept called contraflow. And that is how we are going to start this arrangement with. So for the contraflow concept, as you have elaborated, in everybody heading to the city center, so the other side of the road is free. In the evening, everybody is back to their homes. So the road that gets to the city center is free. Beginning January, what we are going to do is that we are going to keep one lane of the other lane and then allow the new EV buses and the Ayalolo buses to run on the side of the corridors that has the gridlocks. So we have studied, the first study is done on the Adenta corridor, and we have seen intervention areas where we need to improve to allow this flow. So beginning January, you see that the Ayalolos and the EV buses will take one of the adjoining roads to get to the city center faster. That's the first one. Secondly, if you remember the terminal we did the inauguration at yesterday, that terminal is designed to hold park and ride services. So as the EV buses are even starting, if you get to Adenta terminal, which is a replica of the terminals we are going to build in every municipality within the Greater Accra metropolitan area, we have a place where people can park their vehicles comfortably, hop on to either an EV bus or an Ayalolo bus that is on schedule, use a contraflow, and the city center faster. In the evening, when you go to the Ayalolo terminal at CMB, it is adjacent the AMA building. You can also get an EV bus or the Ayalolo bus and move on contra faster to your destination. And then when you get there, you can now pick your private vehicle, or the feeder vehicles will also be waiting, and then you pick your vehicle and you go home. That is how we are going to start the revolution. And then once people's preference, now when people move from depending on their cars to depending on public transport, we would have eliminated a lot of the gridlocks from the road. Then we can segregate a lane from the directional lane and then dedicate it for both the EV buses and the Ayalolo service so that they can run faster. Because these services are purely intra-city services, and our goal is to make sure that we move people in mass to reduce traffic. But we also have to create the comfort and the reliability needed to make sure that people can rely on the service. And that is what GAPTI is doing. That is why the Vice President has partnered GAPTI to Metro Mass and Ayalolo to ensure that we achieve these set goals.
My final question has to do with maintenance. It's one of the biggest headaches we have. We start initiatives, we can't sustain or maintain. Things go bad. We spend more money trying to fix problems. So what is the maintenance plan, or what are the policies concerning maintaining these EV buses or the Ayalolo buses or Metro Mass buses in terms of the mix of that fleet? And two, so one, what's the maintenance plan? And two, how are we ensuring that these buses will last as long as we want them to last to benefit everybody?
Nathan, to answer this question, I just want to test your mind on something. As you sit in the studios, if I ask you, Nathan, what do you think is the state of Ayalolo right now? Can you just give me your candid opinion about whether you think Ayalolo is functional or not? Because I want to tell you a story that relates to that.
It's functional. I've seen a few buses around, especially close to where I work. Every time I walk by the road, I see some of the buses moving about.
I'm happy you said you've seen a few buses on the road.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you, today at the airport, on the tarmac, the services that move people from the tarmac to the planes, they are all Ayalolo buses. You can go to the airport today and go and look at it.
But was that? I mean, I'm just asking. Was that their primary function? I'm sure they were brought to move us about.
I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
So if you go to Pasay Airport, that is it. Look, Honorable Damotri, when he got to understand the concept of Ayalolo, inaugurated the board led by Honorable Jos Bray, the MC for Ablekuma West, and taxed us that he knows that public transport is not a bad business. And there are a lot of buses around the COVID time, a lot of buses were parked. So the Honorable Minister taxed Honorable Bray that he's not going to give Ayalolo any money. The board should make sure that we run to buy the spare parts required to make sure that we service these buses and put them on the road. Between 2020 and today, Honorable Bray has led the team at Ayalolo without government injecting a peswa in the revamping of Ayalolo. Now, almost 90% of the Ayalolo buses are running. What you see on the road is not feasible. Because if you look at the graphic of Accra, Accra is very big. And in Accra, we have 175 Ayalolo buses working on daily basis. So when you see the buses crisscrossing like that, it is not few buses. Those are 175 buses working without a single injection of capital. Every capital that has been used to revamp these Ayalolo services came from internally generated funds. That is the revolution we are talking about.
Okay.
So the maintenance culture has been improved so much that with the new EV buses, we are going to ensure that the buses work functionally without government putting extra money. Even though the buses are going to charge about 40% less, we have to have the best case to make sure that these buses can service itself and keep running without further injection, because we still need investment in other areas in the public transport sector. So we have championed the cause of running these things autonomously without depending on government. So if you are asking me whether there is a maintenance culture that will make these services work, I am telling you 100% that we've done it for the past 4 years and we can do it moving forward.
All right, thank you so much, Charles Annan, MD of GAPTI, sharing a few thoughts on mobility and transportation, and of course the fact that the EV buses are on. We'll keep an eye on that and see how things play out.